Hi, my name's Cheryl O'Neill. I am from Los Alamitos, California. I am a high school secretary. I am a mother of two beautiful daughters, and I am also a Cal State Long Beach University student. My first love affair was and always will be with books. As you can see, I am sitting in my library right now, surrounded by first loves all around me. When I first heard about the banned books in Arizona protest through my Chicano Latino class, I was more than happy to be a part of it. The book I chose is written by Native American Sherman Alexie. He is a poet, novelist, and filmmaker from Spokane, Washington, which I was born near and where I spent some of my first years. At 6 months of age, he had an operation for hydrocephalus, which he was not expected to survive, and as a result, spent most of his childhood reading, just as I did. The book I chose is called 10 Little Indians, which is a collection of short stories. The excerpt I'm going to read to you is from the search engines. Hope you like it. She opened the book and read the first poem, The Naming Ceremony. No Indian ever gave me an Indian name, so I named myself. I am crying shame. I am takes the blame. I am the 4 directions south, a little more south, way more south, and all the way south. If you are ever driving toward Mexico and see me hitchhiking, you'll know me by the size of my feet. My left foot is named Self-Pity, and my right foot is named Born to Lose. But if you give me a ride, you can call me in all my parts any name you choose. Corliss recognized the poem as a free verse sonnet whose end rhymes gave it a little more music. It was a funny and clumsy poem, desperate to please the reader. It was like a slobbery puppy in an animal shelter. Choose me! Choose me! But the poem was definitely charming and strange. Harlan Atwater was making fun of being Indian, of the essential sadness of being Indian, and so maybe he was saying Indians aren't sad at all. Maybe Indians are just big-footed hitchhikers eager to tell a joke. That wasn't a profound thought, but maybe it was an accurate one. But can you be accurate without profundity? Corliss didn't know the answer to that question. She carried the Outwater and Ouden books to the front to check them out. The librarian was a small woman wearing khaki pants and large glasses. Corliss wanted to shout her, "Honey, get yourself some contacts and a pair of leather chaps. Fight your stereotypes." "Wow," the librarian said as she scanned the book's barcodes and entered them into her computer. "Wow what?" Corliss asked. "You're the first person who's ever checked out this book." The librarian held up the Outwater. "Is it new?" "We've had it since 1972. Corliss wondered what happens to a book that sits unread on a library shelf for 30 years. Can a book rightfully be called a book if it never gets read? If a tree falls in a forest and gets pulped to make paper for a book that never gets read, but there's nobody there to read it, does it make a sound? "How many books never get checked out?" Corliss asked the librarian. "Most of them," she said. Corliss had never once considered the fate of library books. She'd never wondered how many books go unread. She loved books. How could she not worry about the unread? She felt like a disorganized scholar, an inconsiderate lover, an abusive mother, and a cowardly soldier. "Are you serious?" Corliss asked. "What are we talking about here? If you were guessing, what is the percentage of books in this library that never get checked out?" "We're talking 60% of them seriously, maybe 70%, and I'm being optimistic. It's probably be more like 80 or 90%. This isn't a library. It's an orphanage." The librarian spoke in a reverential whisper. Corliss knew she'd misjudged this passionate woman. Maybe she dressed poorly, but she was probably great in bed, certainly believed in God and goodness, and kept an illicit collection of overdue library books on her shelves. "How many books do you have here?" Corliss asked. 2,100,011, the librarian said proudly. But Corliss was frightened. What happens to the world when that many books go unread, and what happens to the unread authors of those unread books? "And don't think it's just this library either," the librarian said. "There's about 18 million books in the Library of Congress, and nobody reads about 17.5 million of them." "You're scaring me." "Sorry about that," the librarian said. "These are due back in 2 weeks." Well, that was my expert. I hope anybody else who sees this adds their protest to this site as well. Thank you, and keep reading.